The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 23rd chapter. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they cast lots to divide his clothing. And the people stood by watching, but the leaders scoffed at him, saying, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is the Messiah of God, his chosen one." The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine, and saying, "If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself." There was also an inscription over him. It read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who were hanged there kept deriding him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." This is the gospel of the Lord. You may be seated. You can't study, worship, praise, think about what it means to celebrate Christ the King weekend without taking a good look at what those three words really mean to us. First of all, remember who Jesus is. God incarnate. God who comes into the world, not only to experience the world as one of us, but also to role model for us how he wants us to live. God incarnate, the one who is our Creator, the one who truly is our King, our leader. So we have to come face to face with a reality, which is that we don't often try hard enough to follow the one who is truly our role model and our leader in the world. Think about the criminals up on the crosses on either side of Jesus. One of them sitting there deriding him, making fun of him. "If you are the Messiah, save yourself and save me. What are you doing? Why are you letting us suffer here like this?" The other one who accepts the fact that he's getting what he deserves and simply looks at Jesus and says, "Remember me. Just remember me. Show me some grace." It's in the humility of that criminal that Jesus answers, "I will remember you, and today you will experience paradise with me." But think about what other things Jesus does on that cross. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." What a role model. What a remarkable moment. How often do we in our lives show that much mercy and grace and love to others? Not nearly often enough. And yet, this is Christ the King, God incarnate, role modeling for us exactly God's desire for our lives. Forgiveness, mercy, love, grace. Let's think about Jesus for a moment. The one who never turned a person away. Never. No matter who they were. The one who never shied away from the lepers, the people on the absolute margins of society, the people who nobody wanted anything to do with. Jesus welcomed them. The Pharisees and the chief priest. Jesus ate with them, prayed with them, knowing who they were and what they were going to do and how they were treating the people, how greedy they were, how power-struck they were. And yet, Jesus never turned them away. There was the lady at the well, the Samaritan woman, the foreigner, who Jesus welcomed with open arms and stood there and talked to and taught. There was the prostitute who Jesus protected against judgment, standing in front of her to protect her. There were those who brought the dead to Jesus, and he never had any problem touching them and raising them. Even Judas, the one who Jesus knew would betray him to death, was welcome at the table. This is our King. This is our role model. This is the way we are to live our lives. Welcoming all, loving all, showing grace and mercy and forgiveness to all, peace for all, pray with all. There is no division in Jesus' kingdom. There's no division there, ever. Quite simply, all are welcome. You know, interestingly, here's the best part. Jesus did not sit and have theological, philosophical, and political conversations with everybody, deciding who was welcome and who was not, and who was on this side and who was on that side. He didn't care. All that mattered is that every single person, every one of them, was one of God's children and a part of this kingdom. There were no discussions about who was right about this and who was wrong about that. Of course, if you're Jesus, you don't really need to worry about that. The point is, there was no division. There was no separation. There was no hatred. It's about love. Our King, our role model for life, showed us the perfect life of love, grace, mercy, forgiveness, peace, and unity. There are no other options. You know, over the years, we as humans have done this wonderful job of separating ourselves. We separate ourselves by country. Really? Why? What makes us different than the people in Canada, or Mexico, or India, or Iraq, or Afghanistan, or Russia? We're all God's children. We separate ourselves by politics. In this country, you're Democrat, you're Republican, you're independent, who cares? In God's eyes, you're children, period. We separate ourselves by race, as if somehow God favors one over the other. Are you kidding me? God created us all. We separate ourselves by our sexuality. God created us all. We separate ourselves by wealth. Yeah, God created us all. We separate ourselves literally by our sex. Males make more money than females in most jobs, and yet God created us all. Every one of us is gifted. Every one of us has value. Every one of us has a divine purpose in being here. I could go through a really long list here because we divide ourselves in a billion different ways. But the very simple truth is, God came into this world to be our King, to show us what it is to live in God's kingdom. It's very simple, really. We love and we accept. Those are the two easiest laws in the world, right? This should be easy. The other part to this is that it's not about some kingdom that was. It's not about some kingdom that is to be someday, way out there in a galaxy far, far away. It's about now. We are God's children. We are God's kingdom here, now. So we love, we accept, we forgive, we show mercy, we show grace, we strive for peace. We acknowledge that the voice of every single person is valued, whether we agree or disagree. We also have to acknowledge one other thing. It's perhaps the hardest thing for any of us to do. We have to acknowledge that the one thing that defines us more than anything else is our baptism. Yes, I'm a pastor. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a lot of things in life. We all are. But the one thing that defines us more than anything else is our baptism. We are disciples. We are children in God's kingdom. And that takes more precedent than anything else in our lives. Before I am an American, I am a Christian. Before I am a citizen of this world, I am a Christian. Before I am the pastor at Holy Trinity, I am a Christian. Before I am Gail's husband, I am a Christian. Before I am dad to Allie and to James, I am a Christian. That defines me more than anything else in this world. Christ is our King. And we are members of that kingdom. And that kingdom carries more weight than any other entity in our lives. Love, peace, unity, grace, forgiveness, mercy. The laws of the kingdom that we belong to. Thanks be to God. Amen.